Hello and welcome to News in Depth. Coming up this week. Welcome to the new France. Emmanuel Macron becomes the country's youngest ever president. And no longer a choice between sport and faith. Basketball's governing body changes its rules to allow religious headgear. Emmanuel Macron has been elected France's new president after a landslide victory over his rival Marine Le Pen. More than 30 million adults went to the polls on Sunday, the 7th of May 2017, to decide who should run their country for the next 5 years. Mr. Macron took 2/3 of the vote to become the latest president of the Fifth Republic, which began in 1958 when the French Constitution was last changed. Now that he's in office, the former banker has promised to unite the nation.
There are not many Frances. There is only one. France, ours. The France of the patriots in a protected Europe that we will have to rebuild. The task will be huge. I am ready for it, by your side.
This election has been unlike any other in France before. It saw anti-establishment candidates standing against those from more established political parties. Mr. Macron has built a whole new political movement, En Marche, meaning on the move, which he only set up a year ago and already has more than 200,000 members.
Voilà, mais moi je suis la candidate du peuple.
While the far-right candidate, Ms. Le Pen, is the former leader of the Front National, a group that is anti-immigrant and against the European Union. Since World War II, France has been governed by either the Socialists or the Republicans, the country's two main political parties. But this time, neither made it to the runoff vote in the second and final round of the election. Although Mr. Macron was the economic minister in the last socialist government led by François Hollande, he had never been elected to any public office before he won the presidency. The 39-year-old is now the country's youngest ever president. He's also its youngest ever leader since Napoleon Bonaparte became emperor in 1804, aged 35.
Vive la République! Vive la France!
But what exactly does President Macron stand for? He's pledged to lower taxes for businesses, invest in more renewable energy, and strengthen ties with the EU. Thousands of his supporters gathered in the capital city of Paris to celebrate a result they believe will protect liberal values.
Macron kind of symbolizes unity. I'm Arabic and she's French, and you know we are friends and we're friends. And with Marine Le Pen president being president, it wouldn't be possible anymore.
Everything that has been tested so far in France did not work. So at least we have the choice between testing the extreme right or somebody in the center coming with very open ideas.
But not everyone was happy about the election. Hundreds of protesters took to the streets during the campaign and after the result, against both Mr. Macron and Ms. Le Pen. It was another illustration of the tense political climate in France. The economy has been underperforming recently, and there's a growing divide between rich and poor. The country is also still under a state of emergency after years of terrorist attacks which have killed hundreds of people. There are huge challenges facing President Emmanuel Macron, but he's vowed to rise to them all. Basketball's world governing body has finally changed its rules on religious headgear. After years of campaigning by players, the International Basketball Federation, or FIBA, approved the move that will allow female athletes to wear the hijab during games. Many people now hope it will inspire more Muslim girls to take part in the sport.
I worry about nothing.
Bilquis Abdul-Qadir was a top college basketball player in America.
I was going to finish school, I was going to play basketball.
She had a promising professional career ahead of her, but FIBA, the sport's governing body, said religious headwear was banned for safety reasons at the elite level. For years, she watched from the sidelines and lobbied for the rule to be overturned. And finally, on the 4th of May 2017, Bilquis won.
I pursued this fight for the future generations. And I pray and I hope that because of this, more, especially young Muslim girls will pick up any ball, but basketball for sure, and know that they won't have to be barred from playing because of our beliefs or because of their beliefs.
Bilquis is not the first young Muslim woman to take on the sporting world. In April, 16-year-old amateur boxer Amaya Zafar successfully challenged USA Boxing's ban on the hijab.
Felt like I had a purpose, you know? And when I look over, my coach said, look over at all those kids, because we're here for them.
Football's world governing body FIFA decided to allow hijabs back in 2014. And at the Olympic Games in Rio, fencer Ibtihaj Muhammad became the first American in any sport to win a medal while wearing the hijab. But basketball was slow to change. 3 years ago, the Qatari team walked away from the Asian Games in protest against the international rules. And as well as banning players from wearing the hijab, FIBA also prevented elite-level athletes from wearing a turban or yarmulke, which ruled out a professional career for observant Sikhs or Jews. Basketball GB was among the national governing bodies that campaigned against the ban. And the current British women's champions say they're delighted their sport has become more inclusive.
For us, I'm really excited because there's a ton of people, a ton of players, a ton of girls that maybe we've never seen play before. And if we can get the Muslim community, especially girls, involved in basketball, it's exciting for us as well.
The new rules take effect in October this year. But the victory is still bittersweet for Bilquis. She's been prevented from playing professionally for years, while the basketball authorities have now agreed to what she was asking for all along.
It describes exactly how I wore it. It has to be black or the color of the uniform. There can be no pins. There can be no, there can be no, what did it say? Like anything extruding from the headpiece. So it's just like 3 years for you to come up with what I've already been wearing.
Now a PE teacher at an Islamic school in Tennessee, it may be too late for Bilquis to turn pro. But for the next generation of Muslim girls, there's everything to play for. That's all for now. I'll be back with more news in depth next week. See you then.